the environment that I'm working in is very, very difficult. And I come home and I only have 8 hours here at the house. And this is the only place of peace I have in this entire world. And when I come home, you're angry all the time. You're not satisfied about anything. You want that, whatever the situation is. If you're not going to provide for me that little bit of peace, that this is the only place I can get, what are we doing? Now, you're not vulnerable. You're not getting walked on. You're not being a jerk. You're not coming in, throwing stuff down and saying this. You're just communicating the hard reality truth is. The hard reality truth is our relationship at this point has boiled down to this. Now, you have a beautiful house. You never worry about there being grocery money. You have a car. I put the fuel in your car because you let it go to empty all the time. I provide this and this and this. And what I'd like for you is some peace and some understanding. If that's where your situation is. But to communicate it in such a way, not to come in and whine, not to grovel, and not to tyrant, not to yell, not to pick a fight. It's like, look, I'm just communicating because I think we have a lack of understanding here. So I need you to understand this is where things are right now. And so you can communicate, but how you communicate is just as important as what you communicate.
Transparent communication like that is so rare. Being able to put across what you mean.
Yeah.
Without ladening it with resentment, passive aggression.
Right. I knew a guy many years ago. He had a little dog, one of those little furry little rat dogs, and his one of his little joys in life was he'd look at that dog and he'd smile and he'd say, "Oh, you're so stupid. You're the ugliest, dumbest, most worthless dog I ever seen in my life." And that dog would just wiggle and roll over and he'd look at me and say, "It doesn't matter what you say, it's how you say it." Dog has no idea what I'm saying, but I say it in a loving tone and it's all good. There's a lot of truth to that in communicating with people. We can say things that are not necessarily blatantly offensive, but we can say it in a real belligerent, aggressive tone. And all they hear is the tone. They didn't even hear the
medium is
words.
The message.
That's right. They don't even hear the words.
What have you learned about the importance of fatherhood? You got
I have 7 children.
7 children.
Yeah.
What have you learned about the importance of fatherhood?
All right. I believe God made man. Okay. And God created man and God gave man the word. And the word at that time was, don't eat of the fruit of those 2 trees. Okay. That was a symbol. That's all the word God gave man at that time. Then God gave man a work. And the work was, he said, take care of this garden. And then God gave man a woman to help the man. Okay. That man and then the woman God gave him, that became a marriage. And then that man and wife had children. And those children had children, and then there became governments. Okay? You see where I'm going? In this country was founded as a Christian country. This is what I believe. People can do whatever. I believe that this country is only as strong as the churches. Even our founding father says America will remain great as long as America is good. When America ceases to be good, America will cease to be great. This country is only as strong as the churches in this country. The churches are only as strong as the families that make up those churches. Those families are only as strong as the marriages that those families are built on, and those marriages are only as strong and good as the man that God built the marriages on. As goes the man, so goes the marriage. As goes the marriage, so goes the family. As goes the family, so goes the churches. As goes the churches, so goes the country. Everything is built on the husband and the father. And this country is a failure today because the fathers and the husbands have failed.
How?
Failing to be the example they need to be, failing to be the leaders they need to be, failing to be the disciplinarians that they need to be, failing to be the providers that they need to be. If you don't have the backbone as a husband and as a father to be the bad guy, you've got no business being a father or a husband. There's times when you have to know this is not a good direction for my marriage, for my family. And everybody's going to be mad at me. My wife is going to be mad at me. My kids are going to hate me. But in the long run, this is a very bad direction. And I'm putting my foot down, and we're not doing that. And you become the bad guy. But you do it for the long-term strength and safety of the family. And we've lost that. I mean, we've lost that in this country to a very large degree. And so I think, our next generation is going to run the politics. They're going to run the finances. They're going to run the judicial system, everything in this country. And they're going to be the result in a very large degree. And there's going to be those who don't agree with this. But they're going to be the result of whatever their fathers made them or whatever they become because they didn't have a father. And so I think fatherhood is paramount. I think it's paramount for the future of a society.
Speaking of doing things that make your family mad at you, I heard that you didn't let your daughters date until they were in their late teens. Is this right?
Right.
And that you grilled the potential suitors when they started dating them?
Every boy had to come to me.
Tell me the process. Tell me the story there.
Well, they would come, the boys would come, hey, you want to, and she was taught, you got to go talk to daddy. We don't even talk about this. You go talk to daddy. 2 of my son-in-laws today, for years, they would come. It's like, I'd like to, and they'd come to me and they're like, I'd like to, write your daughter. I'd like to, I'm like, no, nope. Well, what about this? No. Why not? It's like, look, you're a good kid, but my problem with you is you're a kid. All right, grow up. And 2 of my son-in-laws, there were literally years they kept coming back, and I'm like, no. Let me see what kind of man you're going to become. Okay, my daughter's not marrying a boy, and a lot of boys, they grow up to not be good men. So why let her get into an emotional attachment with a boy who will never grow up? And why am I not protecting her from that heartache in the future? And both of them now are married to my daughters. But there came a point years later, I'm like, okay, I've watched you. All right, you grew up. You can contact my daughter now.
How did that go down with the daughters?
I don't know. They wouldn't come fuss to me. But I think my daughters appreciated knowing they had a father who was not just looking out for them today, their feelings today, their whatever, but looking out for their entire future and putting them on the right road. I brought a man in my office one time, and I had a desk along the wall. We sat down in front of the desk. He was sitting in front of me. I pulled out the middle drawer of my desk, pulled out a Bowie knife about that long, slammed it on the desk between us. I said, do you have any questions? He said, no, sir. No, sir, I don't have any questions. I said, all right, then. Put it back in the drawer, closed it, and we got up and left. They never had any question. My daughters are married. All my daughters that are married to good men. Good men. And I've told every one of them at the wedding. I've pulled every one of them at the wedding aside. I said, if you ever hurt her, they will never find your body. I said, there will be no court. There will be no, what they call it, you go down and you swear out you can't come in so many, a protective order. I said, it won't be any of that. If you ever hurt her, they won't find your body. She'll be my daughter to the day she dies. And they all know. Everybody knows. It's just like, And I think they appreciate it. And I think,
I'm sure they appreciated that on the wedding day. Yeah.
oh yeah, well, I didn't tell them. He may have later, but that's okay. But I think there's a lot of women out there would just say, man, I wish I'd had somebody in my life that had that kind of commitment to my safety and to my future.
Why did people think that you were saying that? Is it because you're a tyrant? Is it because you wanted to domineer over your daughters' lives? Or is it because you love them and you want the best for them and you want them to be safe and protected and happy?
Just that, because I'm not. Every one of my children, when they got married, you're adults. And I never interfere in their decisions. Never. I never say, you can't go here, you should do that. I never tell their husband, you should get this job, you should do that. We don't interfere in how they raise their children. My children are not raising their children the way I raised them. I never say anything about it. You're an adult. I raised you to be an adult. You're a parent. Those children are your children. I'm not a tyrant at all. But they know from a distance, Zeus is looking from Olympia and he will throw that thunderbolt down if somebody tries. They know that it's like Dad's always there. He's never meddling. He's never in the way. He's never in our affairs. But if he's always there, if we ever need him.
What do you think were the most important lessons that you taught your kids? Or what do you hope that your kids learned?
Your word. Your word is your bond. Don't lie. Now I would go to jail for this today, but my kids are grown and gone. We had a deal in the house, and it's like, and I spanked my children. Okay, there it is. There's a set penalty for breaking this rule. If you break the rule, you're going to get that penalty. If you lie about it, the penalty is doubled. So it's like my boys, it's like, you don't hit girls. You don't hit girls. All right. And so, if they hauled off